what I want to talk today about is fear. And I'm not talking about the type of fear that keeps us safe, keeps us physically safe. Because that part of our body, that physiology of our body is that knows to keep us safe from harm is a good thing. So over centuries, our bodies have adapted ways to keep us safe. So, you know, when our pupils dilate, when our heart rate increases, our adrenaline gets dropped into the system and our blood shunts body to our legs so we can run away from, say, a knife-wielding bear. That's all good. So that's the good type of fear that our body is able to process. That is part of our sympathetic nervous system. It's the part of our fight or flight system that, we need to help keep us safe. And I'm very thankful for that to keep us out of danger. However, the type of fear that I'm talking about today, excuse me, is the type of fear that we make up in our head that stops you from making choices in your life that are in alignment with what you want. I'm going to say that again. So I'm talking about the type of fear that is in your head that stops you from making the choices that are in alignment with what you really want. And if there is something that you want or desire that is not yet in your physical presence or in your life right now, it's because there is some aspect of fear that is separating you from it. So let me know if that makes sense. Fear gets in between where you are now and that thing, that experience, that something, that somebody that you want. And so the fear monster is real. I've talked about this before in a previous Instagram post. And the fear monster comes in many different ways. Categories, yes, absolutely. So one of the ways that fear shows up is that we want to do something or, express part of our personality, and we're like, oh, well, nobody might like me if I'm that way. And a lot of that fear shows up because, we want people to like us. That's kind of like a natural human thing. But what we don't want is to be alone. That's kind of deep down, that's a fear that's coming up for a lot of people I see right now. And Vicki, you agree, the fear is coming up for you. Yeah. So, because we don't want to be alone in our experience. It's great to know yourself, but also we understand ourselves through our community and through the interactions that we have with other people. So fear of being alone is a real fear. There's also a fear that a lot of people have about they don't want to be offensive. They don't want to offend somebody. And, you can be a nice person and still be yourself, but you're always probably going to offend somebody because everybody is not for everybody. I know that in the work I do and the life experience I've had. Just being yourself, everybody's not going to like you. And that's okay because you don't have time for everybody, the 8 million plus people in the world. So offending somebody is something that is going to happen, whether you like it or not. And so the important thing is about moving through your fear around something, and not letting the possibility of being offensive, I mean this in the best way possible, not let that stop you. Another fear that I see with people is that they're afraid of looking bad, because we live in such a society where there's Instagram and Facebook and all these things where everything appears picture perfect. But behind the camera, things aren't perfect. And so everybody's going to look bad at some point in some light, because we're all human. We all have our faults, and that is totally okay. And, hi, Peter. Thanks for joining. Hi, Carrie. Thanks for joining. If you just joined, I'm talking about fear, and I'm just talking about different ways that shows up for people. So yeah, looking bad, we all stumble. We are all learning. Don't worry about looking bad. It's just part of the game. Another fear that people have is that, going back to looking bad, is that people might see the real you. And that is okay, and we are moving towards that. So sometimes there are parts of ourselves that we are a little less comfortable with because we might be learning, or we might have suppressed that part, but it is okay to show all aspects of yourself, to befriend all aspects of yourself. So don't be afraid of being the real you. That's a sneaky way fear gets in. I think I just lost Facebook. Oh well, anyway, keep going. See, not being perfect, looking bad, getting out of my comfort zone. And another fear that people have is that change is uncomfortable. Getting out of your comfort zone is another one. Another one is that change, the process of changing is uncomfortable. And that is so true because, you know, if you think of the transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly, it's not always going to be beautiful. It's going to be mucky and yucky sometimes. And I think I saw this meme that, like, if you're covered in goo, but you're still moving forward, like, you're doing a great job. So don't let the fear of moving out of your comfort zone stop you, because change is always a little uncomfortable, and it should be, because we are meant to grow and evolve. So know that you can't do it wrong. I've said that before. Your transformation and your evolution of yourself, whatever it is, physically, mentally, spiritually, it's all perfect. You guys are doing great. So you guys might have seen the acronym for FEAR, F-E-A-R, which stands for false evidence appearing real. And that's just what it is. It's false evidence. It is not real. And sometimes you trick yourself into just believing it just enough to give yourself an excuse to stay safe. Hi, Jackie or Jacqueline. So you give yourself just enough of an excuse to stay safe in your comfort zone. And the fun thing is, or not so fun, is that nothing changes in your comfort zone. So there's that. So if you are looking for a change and transformation, staying comfortable is not the way to go. So I just want to share with you guys, I have a couple patients going through a tremendous amount of change. So one is having a baby after a very long struggle. One is completely changing careers. One is moving out of state, and one is going through a divorce. And so big life changes, stirring up big stuff. And that is uncomfortable because all of these ladies had to confront their fears in order for things to happen, in order for them to move forward and take the next steps to bring them closer to what it is that they want for their life, and bringing them closer to happiness and alignment with their true self. And so honestly, them just being happier like makes me like crazy happy because everybody deserves that. And if they hadn't gone through this process, they would still be in a life that they were not so happy with. And so they did it, and it wasn't always easy. But the gift of going through that process is now they know that they can do it. Now they know that they can face their fears and move through that. And so now they know that lesson because they've experienced it, and they can do it again and again and again. So that is what I hope for you guys. I want all of you to be fearless and have the courage to kind of recognize your fears, realize where they're stopping you, and to be able to go after them, and to, you know, realize where they're tripping you up from where you are in this moment to reaching your happiness. And, you know, just forward movement, and that's all that counts. And giving yourself the gift of learning and growing and transforming in order to move through that fear so you can have the life that you want, whether it is a partner, a lifestyle, a job, you know, you name it. There's like a jillion possibilities, but you deserve your happiness. And one of the fears for me, I'll just share, it was public speaking. And so that's part of the reason why I started doing Instagram lives every week, is because I wanted to get over my fear of sharing in front of people, being authentic in front of people. So, you know, if I can do it, you can definitely do it. So, yeah, I hope that was helpful. And if you jumped in at the end, please go back and watch the beginning. So I was talking about fear and sort of how the fear monster shows up sometimes. And if you'd like to comment below how sort of fear is coming up for you, or if you need some counseling about how to move through some of your fears, I'd love to help. So that was this episode of Everyday Enlightenment for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here. Maybe we'll try doing it on Facebook again next week. It didn't look like it worked out this week. So, you know, I learned something new. So I hope you guys have a great week. And I will see you next week on Tuesday.